Hello, hello. We welcome you with open arms and open hearts, just as like my dear friend Paula Fellingham, the founder of When Women Always says. I am Nancy White, and this is my show, The Healthy Sales Chick, where we talk about healthy mind, body, and spirit. And every single day, we need to nourish all three of those areas, or one of those areas are going to start letting us know about it really quick. I have a question for you. Do you feel like your cells are healthy from head to toe? They just might need a little refreshing makeover every once in a while. On our show, we love to talk about, again, that healthy mind, body, and spirit. And we have amazing guests and topics to really share their expertise and wisdom and knowledge about these areas, how we can nourish and support and maintain. Maintaining, as we all know, is the really where the work comes in when it comes to taking care of our healthy minds, bodies, and spirits. So tonight I am so excited. I have the most beautiful guest and friend that I have known for years, Anita Willis, and she is going to really share with us about leadership values and our topics. And I told her, I said, we're going to talk about know your value, know your values, know what you value what you know, and then give me back my touch. Give me my touch back. Let me go back to that again. And then also professional development as far as increasing our talent relationship. Welcome, Anita. So grateful that you're here with us.
Thank you, Nancy. It's really a pleasure to be with you on your show. We've been trying to do this for a little while.
We have, but you know,
Yes,
we have perseverance, don't we?
absolutely. I'm really excited to be here. It's just an honor to be here with you and to meet your audience. And I look forward to our time together. It's taken a long time, but we made it, sister. We made it.
Absolutely, Anita. And we have got so much to share and talk about, and especially you, that I told you, I said, we might have to have a series, which is great. We'll just have our own little series, Anita.
I know we can do that. Don't worry
We
about it. We
can.
can do it. Yes.
Well, I want to share with our audience just a little bit about who Anita Willis is. And I tried to vacillate back and forth whether I was going to tell everybody, but she is 65 years young. She could
Yeah,
be
you
she
tell
could be
them,
my
child.
baby
Look at
sister.
what you're talking
I
about.
know. But she really celebrates life and serving others. She's a speaker and an author and a lifestyle temperament coach. And she is the force behind the IBH Image Center, which we can talk about a little bit later too, and IBH Sister Sounds World. And she just recently formed her nonprofit. I'm so excited for her in that
Yeah, I'm
arena.
excited. Thank you.
Yes. But as a leadership coach, she really values lifestyles and helping people to really encourage to use their authenticity, their transparency, their faith and their courage and beauty and confidence. She is an amazing woman when she can pull some incredible things out of people they didn't even know was there. And she has her recent book that was just been launched, Build It Beyond. And she
Yeah.
also is that kind of person, just like I said, she can create a spark and get into a fire about some things when it comes to overcoming hardships and also having those value-based decisions and actions. And all of her accolades, she has a bachelor's degree, a master's degree. And I told her, I said, if we keep on talking about you all night long, we won't even get to talk about your wonderful expertise. But anyways, Anita,
I don't care about all that stuff, girl. We can just start having girl talk. I am good. I'm good
that
with it.
is so fantastic.
Absolutely.
But Anita, I love asking a question to begin with. Just stopping and reflecting back, what was it that just really inspired you to get into this line of work? Because not everybody can do what you're doing. It's that special gift and talent. But what influenced you to develop this career for yourself, Anita?
Thank you so much. I actually started in a dual role as a therapeutic esthetician over 30 years ago, and as well a licensed ordained minister, I found that I couldn't figure out which one I was supposed to do because there were great things happening in the pulpit, impacting and influencing the thoughts of men, women, boys, and girls to come into a relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ. But I was more practical about it, and I was concerned about the lifestyle experience and not as much the religious experience, but how do they walk it out every day? And frankly, I thought the Sunday school books were boring. Just, I couldn't take them because they were relative in concept, but they were not relational for the contemporary time. And then in the beauty industry, I pioneered the first African-American esthetician to work for Saks Fifth Avenue in Fairlane Town Center. They had never had, they thought I was a maid when I came in, and they found out, oh my gosh, she is the esthetician. And it really opened up opportunities, not only for myself, but for others. But in that context, I found that when I was in the facial room, I was still ministering lifestyle, spirit, soul, and body. And then in the pulpit, I would always open up the same way, or at women's conference retreats and things of that nature. And so it actually evolved from studying in ministry and teaching and traveling for years, speaking to leadership in ministry. Pretty soon leaders were saying, can you come in and can you train our leaders? Because I was more involved in talking about who they were and how they were relating to one another in the context of winning others. And it just started to come together, literally. And as one area evolved and grew, it grew right into that. And I found that teaching opportunity, and I love to write, so that teaching opportunity, relationship opportunity with people was the place where I was born to be. And even the title of the book and the subtitle came out of those times, Build It Beyond, from a dream to a vision for life. And with our faith, is that not what it is supposed to be for? We have the best experience having that board of directors, they call it the fivefold. I look at it as a personal board of directors for our lives. And so I wanted to bring some context to the scripture so that it would be a living expression for people's lives, so they could go from the dream stage to the vision stage to purpose. And so that's how I got there.
I love the journey, Anita, and you're still on that journey and how it has all come together. I know that, especially in this day and time, we had picked a couple of topics to discuss this evening. And you and I were talking a little bit before about the difference between values and ethics. And in your mind, do you think that values and ethics are the same?
Well, I think I said before that it's subjective. It really, really is subjective. When I looked and I quickly ran to get the definition of being ethical or relating to moral principles or the branch of knowledge dealing with those things. And like they say, common sense ain't common. Okay,
Amen.
So all morals and all values may not be the same. And when you have a value-based decision model, or when you have your value equation, the idea of being ethical is no longer merely subjective, but it becomes broader because now you have that opportunity to reference what makes you you, how you value your values in reference to or in relationship to being ethical and how you would practice. It's very, very subjective, but it goes beyond that when you get into community, because that's when those morals are challenged. And oftentimes, if people are honest, all of us are honest, there have been many times that we have not followed our own values until we were in a position where we learned to learned to use them because of the suffering or the challenges we had to face. And we recognized that I really should have gone left when I went right, or I should have gone forward when I backed up. But that's a part of the learning and life experience. And I often say that when I'm coaching someone and they're asking, how do I walk from here? You know, the person who is challenged, how do I walk from here? And I say, you first have to know you're innocent. Who wakes up and just wants to go left? You know, who wants to just do that? No one just really wants to do that, generally speaking. And we know that there are some mental health issues and concerns that some people have to, that is a part of their construct. Nevertheless, for the basic human experience, we're innocent. You know, those mistakes, we never would have done them if we had known.
We didn't
Right?
plan. That's called hindsight too sometimes, or
Yeah.
sometimes we get caught up in life and you know, even looking at just sort of the definitions, you know, of values, and you know, we can look at those definitions, but in the reality, just like you're talking about, Anita, it's called real life. It's called, you know, what's going on in somebody's life. And in this day and time, especially, I think it's really important for us to help with the next generation, especially as moms and as sisters and wives and all that, the people that we have influence in, to bring it out about, you know, values and really what it is. And so, you know, one of the topics that we were going to talk about today is to know your value. And so if you help us navigate that, Anita, a little bit. So if
Sure.
it was somebody that, you know, how are you going to ask them to be able to identify and to know what their value is?
Sure. There's one key statement that you'll find on the back of the book. It says, the choice is always yours to move forward. And I remember speaking with someone just, I think it was this morning, in fact, and they wouldn't pull the trigger on something that could really create a great opportunity for them. And I had to ask them, do you know your worth? You know, do you know your worth? Are you worthy of the win? Are you prepared to win? And most people will say, absolutely, you know, and they'll get excited and everything. And then you just keep going, because when you know your value, you know your worth, and it unlocks your power for change. When you know your value, it unlocks the power for change. And change for me, this was in, like, I believe 1999 or 2000. I was returning from a trip and just sitting in the car waiting for a Bible class. And these words came to me because I was being challenged. There's nothing that I've written that I haven't lived through. And I think you've been close enough to see there's been some powerful things that have happened. But I understood that change was the challenge to hear the advantages necessary for growth and excellence. And I'll say it one more time because it can kind of get past you. Challenge, or the challenge to hear the advantages necessary for growth and excellence. Now, how do we process that? If I'm in the middle of a situation and I'm feeling despondent, disappointed, whatever, I've got to be willing to listen for whatever comes that will teach me, instruct me, guide me to whatever's necessary so that I can improve my life, whether it be spirit, soul, or body, physically, emotionally, financially. I've got to be challenged to hear the advantages. We have a tendency to gravitate towards what's going wrong versus looking for what is in front of us that could be going well, or understanding that even though this doesn't feel good, this is awkward, I'm still learning about why am I feeling awkward about this? Imposter syndrome is I'm in the spotlight and I don't feel like I need to be there. But when you understand your value, you know your worth, it will unlock that power to change. You can make the choice to move forward. And it's more than just, oh, I'm worth $1 million, you know, or something like that. It's really understanding that you're a gift. And you're not one in a million. That's the biggest lie. You're not one in a million. You
You're
are a one
one,
and only.
one and
You're a
only.
unique individual
Mhm.
and worth the win. Yeah.
Absolutely. So do you think a lot of times people go, because we tend to go to the negative sometimes, and they start looking and evaluating the cost or the perceived cost instead of just like what you were talking about, just stopping and looking, at the advantages and the things that are the good positive things
Mhm.
instead of going down that little rabbit trail and
Yeah.
see. Mhm.
Well, that's temperament. Everybody responds differently in their inborn temperament, not our social enculturation, not our personality, that mask, right? It's when you're with you and there's no one else with you but you, and you are scared. You are terrified, or you're disappointed, or that you're not really willing to do the work, the hard work of forgiveness for yourself first, or whatever. And yes, you are correct that it takes commitment to engage self-care. And
Mhm.
self-care starts with how you perceive and see yourself.
Mhm.
And it's easier to look for what's wrong because sometimes we have the tendency to believe we're predisposed to that. But the
Mhm.
truth is, our brains, our entire being is wired for love, not hate.
Yes, I know.
It takes it takes a lot more. Our bodies go into distress when we are stressed. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
so if you take that on and you practice that, right now I'm practicing saying yes.
Mhm.
Say yes until no is evident.
Mhm.
Because in my temperament, technically, if you had known me years ago, you know, I was the person that give her her book, let her sit in the corner with her cup of tea, and leave her there. I'm not coming on stage. I have nothing to say, but I understood more about what it would take to get me out of that corner because I had something vital to say. I had something important to do. And so, yes, it takes being intentional,
Mhm.
being aware that you have a tendency to think the negative, being
Mhm.
open to understanding and correction.
Mhm.
Okay, listening to the feedback and how you receive it to learn more about how people are perceiving your response,
Mhm.
and then learning from it.
Absolutely. And being open to have that communication and have that dialogue is
Mhm.
huge. And just,
Yeah,
and if it bends you out of shape, then stay bent out of shape for however long you want
stay
to be in out
there.
of shape, and then make the change in the effort. 'Cause
Mhm.
even
Yeah.
even on my last couple of shows, I was talking about the science behind a smile, and really
Mm.
the chemical, what it does to
Yeah,
your
the endorphins.
body
Yeah,
is huge.
yeah.
But you still have to practice it sometimes, especially when you don't feel like smiling. But that's another whole subject too. So when you talk about, just stopping again, to be able to know, what your value is, and then, that next step too, know your values. So
Exactly.
people are going,
Your
what is
value.
the difference?
Yeah. Well, that was one of those moments, those creative moments. And I was like, hey, this is good. And I just wrote it down really quick
Mhm.
because it isn't the same. To know your worth is not the same as discovering your core values and embracing who you truly are. And we all have been raised in families. Those families and those cultures are different, even within the same city, the same community, the same neighborhood, from one neighbor to the next, right? But when you begin to embrace as an adult, we're talking, and you start to garner and pull in those values that create a very healthy experience for you, a very good experience for you, where when you went home and the day was done and you were taking your cup of coffee or whatever, and you realized that, hey, it went well today. You've got to train yourself to remember that.
Mhm.
You have to train, you have to stop. Again, pause. It's just like gravity. If I take this pen and I throw it in the air, before it drops, it pauses just for a split second and then falls.
Mhm.
You always have the right, you always have the choice, you always have the right and choice to pause and to reflect and have introspection. What really made the day go great today?
Yeah.
And outline those values. It
Absolutely.
may have been consistency.
Mhm.
It may have been organization as a value, right? Timeliness, kindness, generosity, something. When you see people and you know their character, watch this, you know a person's character based on how they consistently execute their values. You will call on someone and say, listen, if you're going to call on Susie Sugarbaker, you know she is not going to get there on time. She is never on time. But when she comes, she's fully equipped, and anything that you need, she's going to have. She's resourceful. That's a value. But you may only call on Deidre when it comes time to get the building open, to make sure that the organization is there, because of her value for those traits and those characteristics are very high. And so you know her character regarding those things that she values. And a lot of times people will trust, right? People based on personality. They'll go get that person that is charismatic and sis boom ba rah rah rah, and they can get all the people there. And then as soon as it's time to teach the people, they don't understand the value of the melancholy, who listens very well. Now the sanguine that loves to go as like a shooting star can gather the people, but that melancholy is one of the best leaders you need right now in 2023, because they're going to be a little more sedate. They're going to lean in a little more. So if there are any melancholy leaders out there, we're going to give you the Queen's wave.
Absolutely. They listen.
Yes.
They listen.
You
Mhm.
see, so know your value, know your worth. It empowers you to be more sensitive and responsive to change. You want to know your values, and inside of the book, you'll see a long list of values so that you can create your own value equation and know who you truly are. And I would say take 2 or 3 at a time per year. Take 2 or 3 and practice them, and find out what you're worth when you practice them to you.
That takes effort, and it does take consistency. Just
Yes,
like I
ma'am.
loved it when you said to pause, because when you pause and you reflect and you reinforce
Yeah.
that you just have done, that was, again, that good positive value. So I know something, one of our other things we were going to lead into is, know what you value. And unfortunately, I think sometimes people don't know what they value until it's gone.
Absolutely. Haven't we heard that before? That people don't know your value until you're not there anymore, or you're not available anymore. And they become codependent upon you being there, but they don't realize it until it's not accessible, right? But know what you value is knowing what you value, or understanding what matters to you. And if we make it relative to those values and then knowing your worth, you get at that moment the ability or opportunity to negotiate your yes when you should say yes. And likewise, qualify your no, and know that both have tremendous value. You figure out what matters to you. You have a clear idea of your beliefs, your goals, your aspirations. It helps you to make decisions. It helps you to prioritize, and most of all, how to establish those boundaries. You've got people who are suffering from giver's remorse, and they don't know why. They're despondent, they're tired, they're exhausted. If you ask me for one more thing, right? Just one more thing. I got 5 nerves and only 4.5 of them have been used, but when you know your value, know what you value and value what you know, the first thing that I recognized about myself is my high energy time is in the morning. And anybody that knows me, they know I am up at about 4 in the morning. That's my time to start the day the way I want to finish it. Well, I don't have a ringy on it yet, so yeah. Okay.
You get
So
what you mean.
I'm single, so I have that liberty and that freedom to explore more about what makes Anita happy and joyful so that I can go through the day at the pace that's best for me. I know what I value. I value taking my time, having my coffee, fixing it the way that I want. I like a certain type of music, and I won't say, that word, the name of that girl's name that turns all the music on, because it'll come on. But I have my favorites, and I'll ask for my favorite music. Sometimes I'll do a candlelight bubble bath in the morning because I can feel the strain in my body that I need to elevate. It gives me the time I need. I know what I value. I know why it's important to me. I know how. Oftentimes, haven't you heard it where people will say, you need to know your why,
Mhm. Yeah,
right?
it is.
Pre-COVID, everybody was talking about know your why. They were selling programs about know your why. And after COVID, first thing that I heard that I was supposed to teach is now how. How and what now? Because you're sensitive, you know your worth, you know your value, you know your values, and now you know what you value in a more concrete way so that you can do what I call taking all of those things that you want to do and all of those things you want to accomplish and choosing one of them to get it through the eye of the needle because the expanse of what you can do is on the other side. You've got to start somewhere. How do you do that? By deciding what you really value now.
Absolutely, Anita. And I
Yeah.
just love it. I knew our time was going to fly by, and
Did
so
it?
we're going to have.
Yeah.
I know, but I found a couple of quotes, and I just really thought they were so appropriate for what we were talking about.
Mhm.
And this one says, "When your values are clear to you, with exactly what you've been talking about, making decisions becomes easier." And that was a quote by Roy Disney. And I love this one by the
Mm.
Dalai Lama. It said, "Open your arms to change, but don't let go of your values." And
I
I thought,
love it.
I know
Yeah.
it is so
Yeah.
amazing just to think about, there's a lot of great wisdom and knowledge and understanding out there. Um, and this was the last quote. It said, "Change is hearing the advantages necessary for growth and excellence." And that is by Anita Willis.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
That's your
Yeah.
quote. So
Yes, it is. It
Anita,
guided me. It
it
guided
is.
me in a moment that was very devastating.
Mhm.
When I married in 2013, and within end of 2013, and within 7 weeks, he just walked out. He met someone else and walked out. And if it had not been for my values, knowing what I value, and people who I had a community that shared those values, right? Then that could have been the most devastating, traumatic time, and it was. But because of those core values, getting back to those core values that went far beyond what took place into who am I, how am I, and how do I walk from here? And so, yeah, having that challenge to hear the advantages necessary for growth, I couldn't breathe. How was I going to grow? But taking the time to slowly, not rush myself because of my worth. I know my value. I know my values. You see, I know what I value, and I valued forgiveness more than I did revenge.
Oh my gosh.
I value.
That will be another whole topic.
Let's just be real. Because see, I don't like that other stuff. I don't like that other stuff that says, oh, and I just prayed and I was fine. Yeah, right. We know you're a time bomb ticking.
I know.
But but the truth,
Yeah,
yes.
go ahead.
No,
No,
I was
but
just going to say, but being able to be honest with myself, I value that
absolutely.
authenticity. Yeah,
Absolutely. Because if you cannot be honest and open with yourself, you cannot be open and honest with anybody else.
it's not going to happen.
So how can people get in touch with you, Anita?
Well, I welcome you to write me at media. That's media at builditbeyond.com, media at builditbeyond.com. I'm also on LinkedIn, Anita Willis, of course, Instagram, Build It Beyond, and Facebook. We're there. You can find me. Absolutely.
We are definitely going to have another conversation, the next exciting episode in our series. We'll call it Build It Beyond series. But
I like that.
But I'm so grateful again, Anita, for you taking time out of your busy life just to come and share a tiny little nugget of your wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And everyone else, I really encourage you to check out some of the other Win-Win Women TV shows. We have got a beautiful community and so much knowledge, again, wisdom and understanding, and all kinds of different subject matters. And come back, join us again at the Healthy Sales Chick Show. And until then, take care of those temporary temples until you get your permanent maintenance free one. And connect with me on the healthysaleschick.com. Would love to hear all the great things that you're doing to help take care of your healthy mind, body, and spirit. So until the next time, we say adios.
Thank you, Deidre.